The algorithm's choice. Marcus Chen stared at the pulsing notification on his quantum computer's holographic display. The message seemed impossible. Congratulations, you have been selected as the optimal candidate for integration with the Valaxian royal house. His hands trembled as he expanded the message. The Valaxians were legendary among humans, a species that had mastered quantum computing to such a degree that they could predict probable futures with near-perfect accuracy. They were also known for their strict isolation from other species, having rejected countless diplomatic overtures from the Galactic Council. Your genetic and psychological profile indicates a 99.87% compatibility rate with Princess Lara Valax. The message continued. Accept this proposal, and you will be granted access to Valaxian quantum technology and knowledge beyond human comprehension. Marcus laughed bitterly. As a failed quantum physicist working as a maintenance technician on Earth's orbital defense grid, he knew enough about Valaxian society to understand why they might be desperate. Their obsession with quantum prediction had led to severe genetic complications. Their royal bloodline was particularly affected, producing children with unstable quantum states. The rumors about Princess Lara were particularly disturbing. Some said she existed in multiple quantum states simultaneously, that looking at her could drive observers mad as their brains tried to process her fluctuating reality. His finger hovered over the decline button when another message flashed. Warning: declining this proposal will result in a 94.26% probability of Earth's quantum defense systems failing within 5 years. Accept, and that probability drops to 0.001%. Marcus felt his throat tighten. He maintained those defense systems. They were Earth's only protection against the horrors that lurked in deep space. If they failed, display terms of acceptance, he commanded, his voice barely a whisper. The holographic display filled with flowing quantum equations, the Valaxian equivalent of a marriage contract. At the bottom was a simple input field for his genetic signature. Marcus thought about his dead-end job, his failed research, and the billions of lives that might depend on this decision. With a deep breath, he pressed his palm against the scanner. The room erupted in brilliant quantum light, and Marcus Chen disappeared from Earth. The quantum teleportation was unlike anything Marcus had experienced in his years working with Earth's defensive systems. His consciousness separated into countless probability streams before reassembling in what appeared to be a crystalline chamber. The walls pulsed with mathematical equations that made his eyes water. Valaxian quantum architecture, responding to his presence. Welcome, Marcus Chen of Earth. The voice seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once, a chorus of probabilities converging into coherent sound. I am First Quantum Administrator Corell. Marcus turned to face a Valaxian for the first time. Corell's form was vaguely humanoid, but his skin rippled with equations, and his eyes held the depth of infinite calculation. Unlike the horror stories Marcus had heard, there was a strange beauty to the alien's quantum nature. Your acceptance probability was calculated at 63.24%, Corell continued. Higher than any previous candidate, but still leaving significant uncertainty. Fascinating. Marcus straightened his back, trying to project confidence he didn't feel. I understand the princess exists in multiple quantum states simultaneously. As a quantum physicist, former quantum physicist, Corell interrupted. Current maintenance technician. Your career failure probability was artificially increased by Valaxian intervention. We needed to ensure you would be in the correct position when this moment arrived. The revelation hit Marcus like a physical blow. You've been manipulating my life. We have been optimizing probability streams across multiple galaxies for centuries, Marcus Chen. Your species' development of quantum defense technology created an unexpected variable in our calculations. The princess's unique condition may be the key to stabilizing these anomalies. Before Marcus could respond, the crystalline walls rippled, and a new figure emerged. Marcus's mind recoiled as it tried to process what he was seeing. Princess Lara existed in what seemed to be dozens of overlapping states. In some she appeared almost human, in others completely alien, and in others she seemed to be pure mathematical concept given form. The human's mind is struggling to comprehend. One of Lara's probability streams spoke. Perhaps we should stabilize for initial contact. No, Marcus heard himself say, surprising both himself and Corell. Please, don't change anything. I'm a quantum physicist. Theory, at least. Let me try to understand. Marcus forced his eyes to stay open, to really look at Lara. He began to see patterns in the chaos of her quantum states. Each fluctuation followed precise mathematical principles. The horror stories had it wrong. She wasn't cursed or unstable. She was a living embodiment of quantum possibility. You see more than most. Lara's dominant probability stream noted, but understanding is not enough. The quantum anomalies in your defense grid are growing. Without intervention, they will create cascading failures across all probability streams. Show me, Marcus said. The crystalline chamber transformed into a representation of Earth's orbital defense grid. Marcus watched in horror as quantum instabilities he'd never noticed began to appear obvious. The system wasn't just at risk of failure. It was approaching quantum collapse that could tear reality apart. This is why you chose me, Marcus whispered. Not just for marriage. You need someone who knows Earth's defense systems and can understand quantum mechanics at your level. Partial accuracy, Corell said. We need someone who can bridge the gap between Valaxian and human understanding. But the marriage is not merely diplomatic. The princess's quantum state must be stabilized through genuine quantum entanglement with a compatible consciousness. Love, in your human terms. Marcus looked at Lara again, seeing now how her quantum states responded to his presence, seeking harmony with his own consciousness. The implications were staggering. This wasn't just about saving Earth. It was about evolutionary leaps for both species. The integration ceremony must begin soon, Lara said, her states briefly aligning into a single breathtaking form. The probability streams are already changing. Will you help us rewrite the quantum laws that bind reality itself, Marcus Chen? Marcus thought about his years of frustrated research, trying to push the boundaries of human quantum understanding. He thought about the billions of lives depending on Earth's defense grid. But mostly, he thought about the mathematical beauty in Lara's quantum dance and how it called to something deep within his own consciousness. Yes, he said simply, and watched as probability itself shifted around his decision. Corell's equation-covered skin pulsed with what might have been satisfaction. Then let us begin your preparation. The quantum integration of a human consciousness has never been attempted. The calculations suggest a 17.89% survival probability. As Marcus was led deeper into the Valaxian quantum palace, he realized that his old dreams of revolutionary quantum research hadn't been wrong. They'd just been probability streams waiting for the right moment to collapse into reality. The quantum dance. Marcus's quarters in the quantum palace defied traditional geometry. The walls shifted between states of matter, and time itself seemed to flow differently here. After 3 weeks of quantum integration therapy, he was finally beginning to understand why. Your consciousness is adapting well, Lara said, her multiple states creating a symphony of voices. Today, she appeared primarily in her crystalline form, though echoes of other possibilities shimmered around her. Most candidates' minds fracture within days of exposure. Marcus adjusted the quantum resonance fields around them, a skill he'd been developing with surprising speed. I think it's because I stopped trying to force your quantum states into a single reality. They're all equally valid, all equally you. Lara's dominant probability stream rippled with what Marcus had learned to recognize as pleasure. You're the first to understand that. The others all tried to fix me, to collapse my quantum superposition into something their minds could process. They were in the palace's quantum observatory, where the boundaries between dimensions were thinnest. Marcus watched as probability streams flowed around them like currents in a cosmic ocean. His own consciousness, enhanced by Valaxian technology, could now perceive multiple realities simultaneously. "Watch this," he said, extending his quantum-enhanced awareness. The resonance field shifted, and suddenly he could see how Lara's quantum states aligned with the fundamental forces of the universe. "Your condition isn't a curse, it's evolution. You exist in quantum harmony with reality itself." "A harmony that's failing," Lara reminded him. Her states briefly collapsed into a singular form, showing the strain of maintaining quantum coherence. The anomalies in Earth's defense grid are just the beginning. Reality itself is becoming unstable. Marcus moved closer, watching how his presence seemed to stabilize her quantum fluctuations. "Tell me about the first time you noticed the changes." Lara's quantum states swirled in memory formation. "I was very young when my consciousness began splitting across probability streams. Our scientists said it was a flaw in our quantum genetics, but I could see things others couldn't. I saw how reality was fraying at its edges. And now the same thing is happening to human technology," Marcus mused. "It's not coincidence. The quantum defense grid is picking up on fundamental changes in the structure of space-time." Their research sessions had become something more intimate than either had expected. As Marcus learned to perceive Lara's quantum nature, she learned to see reality through his uniquely human perspective. Their consciousness began to entangle in ways that transcended both species' understanding of connection. "The integration ceremony approaches," Lara said, her states aligning briefly to touch Marcus's hand. The contact sent quantum ripples through both their consciousness. "Are you afraid?" "Terrified," Marcus admitted, "but not of you. Of failing. If we can't stabilize the quantum anomalies, then both our civilizations will fall," Lara finished. "But the probability streams show another possibility. Together, our quantum-entangled consciousness might be able to perceive solutions that neither species could find alone." Marcus demonstrated his growing mastery by adjusting his own quantum state to harmonize with hers. The resulting resonance created patterns of indescribable beauty in the probability streams around them. "The Valaxian Council fears this," Lara observed. "They believe our union will create something beyond their ability to calculate or control." "And what do you believe?" Lara's quantum states synchronized momentarily, showing Marcus a glimpse of her true self, a being of pure quantum potential, capable of perceiving and manipulating the fundamental forces of reality. "I believe that love, like quantum mechanics, operates beyond traditional models of causality and probability," she said. "What's happening between us was never about political alliances or technological exchange. It's about the universe evolving, finding new ways to understand itself." As if to demonstrate, she extended her consciousness into the quantum fields around them. Marcus watched in awe as she manipulated probability itself, showing him visions of possible futures. In some, they failed, and reality unraveled. In others, their quantum-entangled consciousness became a bridge between dimensions, healing the growing rifts in space-time. "The integration ceremony will fully entangle our quantum states," Lara explained. "No Valaxian has ever attempted this with a human. The probability calculations cannot predict the outcome." Marcus smiled, understanding now why he had been chosen. "That's exactly why it might work. True quantum breakthroughs require stepping beyond pure calculation into unknown probability spaces." Around them, the quantum observatory hummed with increasing energy as their consciousness continued to align. The Valaxian guards at the door shifted nervously, their quantum sensors detecting power levels that exceeded safety protocols. "Should we stop?" Lara asked, her states fluctuating with concern. "No," Marcus said firmly. "They need to see this, need to understand that the future isn't just about calculating probabilities. It's about having the courage to embrace uncertainty." As they continued their quantum dance, neither noticed the shadowy figure watching from a hidden probability stream, its ancient consciousness calculating new plans for the quantum chaos to come. The price of knowledge. The Quantum Council chamber was a maze of intersecting probability streams, where Valaxian politicians existed simultaneously in multiple states of argument and agreement. Marcus watched from his designated observation node as First Administrator Corell presented their latest findings. The human's quantum integration exceeds all calculated probabilities, Corell's primary state announced. Their combined consciousness has achieved resonance patterns previously thought impossible. High Counselor Virex's quantum states vibrated with disapproval. You overstep, Corell. These impossible patterns represent a threat to Valaxian quantum supremacy. The human must be contained. Marcus felt Lyra's consciousness brush against his through their strengthening quantum bond. They fear what they cannot predict, her thought stream whispered. The human's presence has already contaminated our quantum architecture, Virex continued. Our probability engines show increasing zones of uncertainty, variables that resist calculation. Marcus stepped forward, his quantum-enhanced senses detecting the hidden currents of fear beneath the Council's measured tones. Perhaps uncertainty is exactly what you need. Your rigid adherence to probability calculation has created blind spots in your quantum defense systems. The chamber erupted in overlapping probability states of outrage. Only Lyra's presence, her quantum states harmonizing with his, kept Marcus anchored in stable reality. You dare question our methods? Virex's states synchronized in anger. We mastered quantum manipulation while your species was still calculating with primitive binary computers. And now reality itself is becoming unstable, Marcus countered. Your perfect calculations didn't predict that, did they? Corell's equations pulsed thoughtfully. The human speaks with concerning accuracy. Our latest scans show quantum fractures spreading beyond Earth's defense grid. The entire probability matrix is showing signs of decay. From her quantum throne, Lyra projected a visualization of the spreading anomalies. The council chamber filled with holographic representations of reality's quantum structure. Even the most hardened Valaxian politicians fell silent at the sight of probability streams unraveling. This is what I've been trying to show you, Lyra said, her states aligning for emphasis. The old models of quantum reality are failing. We need new perspectives, new ways of thinking that go beyond pure calculation. Virex's opposition probability streams began to multiply. Convenient that these anomalies appeared just as you sought to justify integration with a lesser species. The timing suggests human sabotage. Or perhaps, came a new voice, as ancient quantum seer Metal emerged from a hidden probability stream. It suggests that the universe itself is forcing us to evolve. The Council's quantum states rippled with surprise. Metal rarely emerged from her quantum meditation chambers. Her consciousness existed in so many simultaneous states that even other Valaxians struggled to perceive her true nature. I have observed the human and the princess, Metal continued, her voices echoing across probability streams. Their quantum resonance represents something new. Something our calculations could never have predicted because we refuse to look beyond our own quantum limitations. Marcus felt Lyra's consciousness strengthen against his as Metal approached them. The ancient Valaxian's quantum states seemed to bend reality around her. But there is a price for such evolution, Metal warned. Forces older than our understanding of quantum mechanics are stirring. They exist in probability spaces we cannot access, feeding on the chaos of unraveling reality. Virex's opposition faltered as Metal projected visions of ancient quantum entities, beings that existed in states of pure probability. You suggest these anomalies are deliberate attacks. I suggest, Metal replied, that our obsession with calculating and controlling every quantum probability has left us blind to greater truths. The human and the princess represent a new path, one that embraces uncertainty as a source of strength rather than weakness. The council chamber erupted in overlapping debates, probability streams of argument and counter-argument weaving complex patterns through quantum space. But Marcus barely noticed. His attention was fixed on something else, a shadow moving through the quantum fields at the edge of his perception. You see it too. Lyra's thought stream touched his mind. Yes, Marcus responded through their quantum link. Something's watching us. something that exists in probability spaces even your people haven't discovered. Their private quantum communion was interrupted by Virex's dominant probability stream. The Council demands proof. Demonstrate this supposed evolutionary advancement, or we terminate the integration immediately. Marcus met Lyra's gaze across quantum space, feeling their consciousness synchronize. Without words, they understood what needed to be done. Together, they began to shift their quantum states, preparing to show the Council something that would shatter their understanding of reality itself. But as they gathered their power, the shadow in the quantum fields began to move with purpose. The true test of their union was about to begin, and not even Mutul's ancient probability site could calculate what would happen next. Quantum convergence. The quantum integration chamber hummed with unprecedented energy as Marcus and Lyra's consciousness merged deeper than ever before. Their combined quantum states created patterns that defied Valaxian probability calculations. The resonance patterns are exceeding safe parameters, Corell warned, his equations flickering with concern. We should abort. No. Marcus and Lyra spoke simultaneously, their voices harmonizing across probability streams. Through their enhanced connection, they could see something the Valaxians couldn't. The quantum shadows were growing stronger, more numerous. Marcus directed their shared consciousness toward Earth's defense grid. The quantum instabilities had evolved, showing clear signs of intelligent manipulation. These aren't random anomalies, he realized. They're probe attacks. Lyra's quantum states aligned with his insight. Together, they could perceive vast entities moving through probability spaces beyond normal reality, ancient consciousness that had evolved beyond physical form, feeding on quantum uncertainty. The Valaxians' obsession with probability calculation actually made them vulnerable, Marcus said. By trying to eliminate uncertainty, they created blind spots these entities could exploit. Their merged consciousness expanded further, pushing the boundaries of quantum perception. They saw how Earth's crude but flexible quantum technology had accidentally created defense patterns the shadow entities couldn't easily penetrate. The human capacity for improvisation and uncertainty had become a shield. The integration is reaching critical threshold, Corell announced, quantum coherence failing in 3-2. But Marcus and Lyra had moved beyond mere coherence. Their consciousness danced through probability streams, rewriting quantum equations that had stood unchanged for millennia. In their shared quantum space, they could see the fundamental flaw in Valaxian quantum science. They were right about quantum evolution. Lyra's thoughts merged with Marcus, but wrong about its direction. True quantum mastery isn't about eliminating uncertainty. It's about embracing it, using it as a source of power. Through their bond, they began to reshape the quantum architecture around them. The rigid Valaxian probability engines transformed, becoming more fluid, more adaptable. The shadow entities recoiled as their quantum attack patterns met unexpected resistance. Impossible, Corell whispered, watching his precious equations rewrite themselves. The probability calculations were incomplete, Marcus finished. You tried to reduce quantum mechanics to pure mathematics, forgetting that consciousness itself is a quantum phenomenon. The mind isn't bound by probability. It creates new possibilities. Lyra's quantum states swirled around him in a dance of creation. Together, they demonstrated how consciousness could guide quantum probability without trying to control it. The Valaxian quantum systems began to pulse with new life, adapting and evolving in ways their creators had never imagined. The defense grid, Corell's equations pulsed in mourning. The anomalies are spreading faster. Marcus felt Lyra's consciousness strengthen against his. They're not spreading, her thought stream whispered. They're being driven out of hiding. The shadow entities know we can see them now. Through their quantum bond, they watched as vast, ancient intelligences emerged from probability spaces the Valaxians had dismissed as impossible. These weren't mere anomalies. They were the original quantum engineers, beings that had evolved beyond physical form eons ago. This is what your quantum sight was trying to warn you about, Marcus told the stunned Valaxian scientists. "You thought Lyra's condition was a curse, but it was an evolutionary response. She could perceive these entities because her consciousness wasn't bound by rigid probability calculations." The shadow entities began to mass, their quantum signatures distorting reality itself. But now, guided by Marcus and Lyra's merged consciousness, the Valaxian quantum systems adapted and evolved. New defense patterns emerged, combining human intuition with Valaxian precision. "The question isn't whether we can calculate every probability," Lyra said, her quantum states synchronizing perfectly with Marcus's consciousness. "It's whether we can evolve fast enough to face what comes next." As if in response, the shadow entities launched their first direct attack. Reality shuddered as ancient quantum weapons tore through probability space. The true test of their quantum union was about to begin, and the fate of both their civilizations hung in the balance. Marcus felt Lyra's consciousness mesh completely with his, their shared quantum awareness expanding beyond anything either species had achieved alone. Together, they prepared to fight a war that would rewrite the laws of reality itself. The probability war. The quantum battlefield existed in no single reality. Marcus and Lyra's merged consciousness watched as the shadow entities launched wave after wave of probability-destroying weapons. Each attack threatened to unravel the fabric of space-time itself. Multiple breaches detected in sectors 7 through 13. Corell reported, his equations struggling to process the chaos. "The entities are targeting probability nexus points." Through their quantum bond, Marcus and Lyra coordinated the defense. Valaxian quantum engines, reformed by their new understanding, generated protective fields that adapted to each attack. But the shadow entities were ancient, powerful, and desperate. "They're trying to force reality back to its original state." Lyra's thoughts merged with Marcus's understanding. Before consciousness emerged, when quantum probability was pure chaos, the shadow entities had evolved in that primordial quantum soup, feeding on unlimited possibility. The emergence of conscious observers, beings that could collapse quantum states into defined reality, had been slowly starving them for billions of years. Marcus directed their shared consciousness toward Earth's defense grid, incorporating its crude but effective quantum technology into the Valaxian systems. The human approach to quantum mechanics, built on uncertainty and approximation, proved remarkably resistant to the shadow entities' attacks. "The primary probability core is destabilizing," Corell warned. "If it collapses, all calculated reality streams will fail." "Let it collapse," Marcus said, understanding flooding through his quantum bond with Lyra. "We've been fighting the wrong way." Together, they began to deliberately destabilize the Valaxian probability engines. The shadow entities, sensing weakness, surged forward, only to find themselves trapped as Marcus and Lyra rewrote the quantum battlefield's fundamental rules. "Reality isn't just what we calculate," Lyra broadcasted across all probability streams. "It's what we choose to observe, to create, to believe in." The shadow entities recoiled as their quantum weapons encountered something new. Consciousness that could exist in both defined and undefined states simultaneously. Through their union, Marcus and Lyra had become living probability engines, able to guide quantum collapse without forcing it. Ancient quantum intelligences that had dismissed humanity as primitive now found themselves outmaneuvered by human intuition, merged with Valaxian precision. The shadow entities' attacks became increasingly desperate as they realized their advantage was slipping away. "They're targeting the integration chamber." Corell's equations flashed in alarm. Quantum containment failing. Marcus felt Lyra's consciousness strengthen against his as reality buckled around them. Together, they pushed their quantum awareness to its limits, perceiving the shadow entity's true nature for the first time. "They're afraid," Lyra realized. "Not of our weapons or our technology, but of what we represent. Evolution," Marcus understood. Proof that consciousness can thrive in a quantum universe without destroying uncertainty itself. The shadow entities launched their final assault, a massive wave of pure quantum chaos meant to shatter consciousness back to its component possibilities. But Marcus and Lara were ready. Their merged consciousness had become something entirely new, a bridge between defined and undefined reality. Now, they commanded in unison. The Valaxian quantum engines, rewritten by their understanding, generated a cascading wave of conscious observation, not forcing quantum collapse, but guiding it, showing the shadow entities a path to coexistence. Reality shuddered as ancient intelligences faced a choice: adapt or fade away. Some retreated to the furthest probability spaces, choosing isolation over evolution. But others, sensing a new way forward, began to resonate with the quantum patterns Marcus and Lara created. The anomalies. They're stabilizing, Krell reported in disbelief. But the probability calculations will never be the same, Lara finished. Reality is choosing to evolve, and we must evolve with it. Through their quantum bond, Marcus and Lara watched as Valaxian technology transformed, incorporating the uncertainty it had once fought against. Earth's defense grid, linked to their consciousness, became a bridge between human and Valaxian understanding. The quantum war hadn't ended with destruction, but with transformation. Shadow entities that chose to adapt began sharing their ancient knowledge, teaching both species how to navigate quantum reality without trying to constrain it. But even as the immediate threat faded, Marcus and Lara knew their work was just beginning. The universe was changing, consciousness and quantum mechanics dancing in ways neither species had imagined possible. The real evolution was about to begin. Beyond calculation, the integration ceremony took place in quantum space itself, where probability streams converged into patterns of impossible beauty. Marcus and Lara's consciousness, already deeply entangled, prepared for final unification. The old calculations suggested this was impossible, Mutal observed, her ancient quantum states resonating with approval. A human consciousness fully merged with Valaxian quantum architecture. But Marcus and Lara had moved beyond what was calculated to be possible. Their shared consciousness had become a bridge between species, between defined and undefined reality, between order and chaos. The shadow entities that had chosen adaptation gathered in distant probability streams, their ancient awareness contributing to the ceremony. They understood now that consciousness wasn't their enemy. It was the next step in quantum evolution. Begin the final integration, Krell commanded. Marcus felt Lara's consciousness embrace his completely. Their merged awareness expanded beyond individual identity, beyond species limitation, beyond traditional concepts of existence. Together, they became a new form of quantum life. Through their perfected bond, they could see the universe as it truly was, not a battlefield between order and chaos, but a dance of infinite possibility. The Valaxians had been right about quantum mechanics being the key to evolution, but wrong about its direction. The integration is complete, Krell announced, his equations pulsing with wonder. But the readings, this is beyond anything we calculated. Marcus/Lara's unified consciousness reached out, touching probability streams that neither species could perceive alone. They saw how reality itself was evolving, guided by the choices of countless conscious observers across space and time. The shadow entities had been harbingers, not enemies. Their attacks had forced both humanity and the Valaxians to transcend their limitations, to find a new way of existing in a quantum universe. Earth's defense grid, once crude protection against cosmic threats, transformed into a network for quantum communication between species. Valaxian technology, freed from rigid probability calculation, began generating new solutions to ancient problems. We understand now, Marcus/Lara spoke in unified voice. The universe isn't meant to be calculated or controlled. It's meant to be experienced, to be shaped by consciousness itself. Their shared awareness extended through quantum space, touching minds across both civilizations. Humans began awakening to their quantum potential, while Valaxians learned to embrace uncertainty as a source of strength. The shadow entities that had chosen to adapt shared their ancient knowledge, teaching both species how reality had emerged from primordial quantum chaos. Together, they began building something new, a civilization that existed across multiple quantum states, embracing both certainty and possibility. What happens now? Virex asked, his opposition finally surrendering to wonder. How do we calculate the path forward? We don't, Marcus/Lara answered. We create it, together, one conscious choice at a time. Their unified being had become living proof that love, like quantum mechanics, transcended traditional models of reality. They were neither human nor Valaxian, neither defined nor undefined, but something gloriously new. The quantum curse that had isolated Lara had become a gift to all consciousness. Through their union, both species learned that evolution wasn't about eliminating uncertainty. It was about dancing with it, growing through it, creating with it. As reality reshaped itself around their merged consciousness, Marcus and Lara remained distinct within their unity, two perspectives enriching a single awareness. Their love, quantumly entangled yet infinitely personal, became a beacon for others seeking to transcend their own limitations. The universe, they discovered, was not a problem to be solved, but a mystery to be lived. And in that mystery, consciousness itself was evolving, guided by the most powerful force in any reality: the choice to grow beyond what was thought possible. The probability streams are stabilizing, Krell reported, but not into any calculated pattern. They're dancing. Yes, Marcus/Lara smiled across quantum space. They always were. We just needed to learn the steps. And so, in the space between certainty and possibility, between human intuition and Valaxian precision, between love and physics, a new form of existence took root and began to grow. The quantum revolution had begun.